Hi, this is Stevie. Today I'm painting a lavender field in watercolor on a 5x5 piece of Arches 140-pound watercolor paper. I've just outlined a little border on the piece of paper using that guide. It's actually a piece of gator board that I have, and I just use it as a guide. I run my little finger along the side of it to help get a straight line. It looks a lot better than using a ruler. Now I'm starting to draw what's in the image, starting with the object that's at most at the front, and that's the umbrella. Notice that the umbrella stretches more than halfway across the image, so it's quite large in relation to the other objects. And keep that in mind when you're drawing it. Next, I'm going to place those mountains in the distant background. Now I'm going to skip ahead to the inking part of the drawing just to save time. But here you can see my finished pencil sketch. And now I'll start inking it in with my Micron 05 pen. That is permanent ink, so I don't have to worry about getting water on it and then having it bleed. And again, I'm using my little guide there with my little finger to draw the straight line of the umbrella pole. Just a handy little trick. And there I'm going over the umbrella. And there's a backside to that umbrella too. You can see that where I'm indicating that now. And that'll be more in the shade when I do the painting part. But I wanted to be sure to get that in because from this perspective you would see that. And there's those two chairs in the front. I'm getting those in. The chairs had little slats in them, so I'm indicating those with some lines, some ink lines. Now indicating those mountains in the back, and these don't have to be detailed because they're very distant, but just to indicate the coastal mountains that are there. And now I'm lining in the trees, the distant trees and bushes. And note that some of those trees and bushes are behind the little fence in the photo, and some are in front of it. And I tried to indicate that in my drawing. And when I actually put the fence in, you'll see that. Just adds a little bit of more interest to the painting. And also note that those trees are different shades of green. And later on, when I put the color in, I'll be mixing different shades of green to show that. Now I'm starting to put in the fence, and in the photo it's a dark color fence, I think a brown, but I'm going to leave it white, unpainted in this painting. It's a very narrow little fence anyway, but I'm just going to paint around it to try and leave it white. And I'm just going back, wasn't being very careful about putting those posts in as far as the distance between each. Not that many of them show, and it's not that important of a feature once we get everything else in. And notice that I'm putting in some little grass, indications of grasses in front of the fence. And one thing I wanted to do was not have just a straight line there of ground. So I put little grasses in. What I'm doing here is, this is called a dry cleaning pad. And in the old days when I did calligraphy we called it pounce. But it's full of little bits of eraser, and it's a really good way to clean up your paper all at once. It's messy though, so I usually do it outside. So I rub it over the paper and then use my mop brush to clean it off, and it gets your paper back to a nice white color again. There I'm finishing that little line of grass along the tree line. And now I'm have to go back in with my pencil because I erased my lavender field lines. Just putting in a little bit of perspective there to show that they go off into the distance. And now moving to the sky, getting that wet first. I like to wet my sky before I put any color in and just get that color to bleed. I'm using a number 6 synthetic Princeton brush, and I use this brush for most of the painting. I think the only other brush I use is a little 1/4-inch flat brush that is made by Princeton as well. So notice how I'm applying this paint to the wet sky surface, and I leave little bits of white. Kind of makes it look like there's some clouds in the sky, it's a nice effect, and it's a very easy way to make some clouds. Just trying to keep that blue color out of my trees. It bled a little bit into the trees. It wouldn't be a big deal if it stayed there. Now, for the distant mountains, they look a little green in the picture, but I really wanted them more of the bluish purple color. And the mountains should be darker than the sky. And actually, I wish I had made the sky a little lighter so that I could differentiate the mountains more. But I have what I have. So I think later on I go back up and darken those mountains a little bit more. But just, I wanted to keep that color because I thought it would look nice next to the yellow umbrella. So now getting the mountains in, and I move around the painting to let areas dry. So I'm picking up a little color there just to indicate the light side of the mountain. If my light source is to the right, which it is, then that side of the mountain would be a bit lighter. Now I'm moving on over to the umbrella while the mountain dries, and just getting in. This is Hansa yellow that I used for the umbrella. This is in the bright sun, so it's a nice bright color. I'll go back in later to add some shadows, but I'll have to let that yellow color dry first before I add the shadows. Now for the underside of the umbrella, I need a cooler yellow, so I use raw sienna. You could use yellow ochre. I just don't have yellow ochre on my palette. I like the raw sienna because it's transparent. And I'm going to add a little raw sienna to the distance in the painting as well, where there's, in the photo, if you see, it's kind of just a dirt area back there. And I just painted raw sienna in there to show that. And now I'm starting to paint in the trees and bushes. And first I'm applying green gold because it's a light green, almost a yellow. And then what I like to do while that's still wet, I go back in with a darker color. And you can see on my palette that I've mixed up some green and some Antwerp blue and a little bit of that raw sienna, which helps to gray it down a bit. And I'm just starting to apply that to those bushes on top of the green gold. Trying to keep the tops of those trees or bushes lighter, since that's where the light would be hitting. It's just a nice, easy way, especially for trees and bushes that are in the distance and there's no real detail that you have to paint. This is a good way to do those. A really quick way, too. I love to watch that paint spread. Now I'll add a little bit of light color at the top, that green gold. That's indicating those darker trees that you see on the left. I'm just cleaning up my yellow color there to make sure it doesn't get dirty from the other colors. Moving on down, finishing those trees on that left side, the trees and the bushes. And notice how I do have some of the bushes looking like they are in front of that fence, and then some are behind it. That's a small detail. It's not critical, but just something I wanted to point out. Trying to leave, again, some light color on the right side of those trees where the light would be hitting it. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it spreads, but the dark color spreads too much, but at least that's how I start out. And notice on those two trees on the left, the tree on the very left, I should have made that a little bit lower because it reaches right where the line for the mountain is, and that's really not good. That's a tangent. You should either take it above the mountain line or keep it below it. The other tree I took up over the mountain line, the line of the mountain, which is fine. Now I'm moving on to the big tree on the right. I think that was an oak tree. I can't remember. Anyway, I had put the green gold in, but I wanted to get some darker green along the edge of that umbrella, so I was sure to put that color in. And I tried to leave a few sky holes in that tree as well because it's a little closer to us. Getting the bottom of the tree that's down below the umbrella. And I will still have the trunk of that tree to put in, but I have to let the green dry before I go back and paint that trunk. So I'm just moving on. I used some green gold in front of all those trees and bushes to indicate a grassy area along the edge of the lavender field. Going back, cleaning up that sky a little bit to try and lighten that color that's right next to the mountain. I really wish I had left that a little bit lighter, but it looks okay. Now when I start the lavender rows themselves, the first thing I do is go in and wet the paper. I wet each row. I go along where you see those pencil lines and wet each row because I want that color to run when I put it down. You'll see where I lay the color right along the pencil lines, and then it bleeds up so that it looks like the color is getting lighter as it goes to the top of each lavender row, which is what I want to give it that form. So I'm mixing up my colors. There's manganese blue. I didn't mix them all together, as you can see, but I used manganese blue, cobalt violet, and permanent rose. And I just pick up a little of this and a little of that because I like to vary the color. But note how I'm laying the color down on the wet paper and it starts to spread. But I'm really watching it and notice how it's going in both directions. I'm okay with that. But make sure to leave enough room between your rows. Make sure you have some white color showing between your rows. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm still going back, carefully adding in a little bit more water here and there to pull that color up and make that round form of the bush. But at the same time, I'm trying to keep that light color at the top. It's something I suggest practicing on a separate piece of paper before you try it on your good painting, just to get the hang of it. And as I come forward with these lavender rows, the color will get a little bit darker because it's closer to us. So here I'm just laying in another row. I think I actually go back later and add more color. Let's see, I'm adding some more color. And notice how I move my brush. I kind of turn it to indicate the roundness of that row every so often. Getting down in that right-hand corner because I don't want that chair to be sitting next to just white paper. So I was sure to put some color in there. Now getting down to the row in the front. This is bigger, of course, because it's closer to us. Bigger and darker. Again, I'm adding water as I need to, and then see how I move the brush up and over to give it a rounding effect for the lavender row. And then again, I don't want a white corner, so I'm pulling that color down a little bit. But you can still clearly see the division between the rows, and that was what I wanted. I've sped this video way up, but if you want to slow it down to try and follow it, you can do that. There's a little gear at the top right corner, a gear icon in the top right corner of your screen, and go to that and you can slow it down if you want to. You'll have to turn off the sound because I would be talking really slow, but you can do that. So I went back in and added a little more darker green to that grass row along the edge of the field. And then, I'm just putting some of the purple color, the lavender color, in between the slats on those chairs because you'd be looking through them to see the lavender field. Now I'm going in and taking a little bit of the purple color that I mixed up and using it as a shadow color on the umbrella. And I used it on the underside of the umbrella, and now I'm indicating some shadows here. And for some reason I didn't like that shadow on the right, so I'm taking it off. Now I have to wait for the paper to dry before I go back and fix that. So I'll do that a bit later. Now I'm mixing up a color to go back and put in the trunk of that big tree, that big oak tree that's out on the right. Oh, and notice also how when I drew that tree and the umbrella, I took them right outside the frame that I drew. And that's just a nice little trick that it's a nice thing to get attention. I do that in a lot of my sketches. Now I'm mixing up, that is transparent burnt orange, with a little bit of ultramarine because I wanted to make a black color for the pole on the umbrella. So what I did first was I wet the pole. I just went down the pole with some water on my brush. Then I tried to keep that black color or gray color to the left side of the pole, and then it'll spread a little bit with the water, but it will lighten as it spreads, and it looks like the left side of the pole is darker than the right, which is what I wanted. Now I'm going back, reinforcing, strengthening the color on the lavender rose. When I add that color, notice that I always put water down first. I don't put it everywhere, but I put it on the rose where I'm going to lay the color down. And that's just to get it to spread so I don't have any hard lines. It would be really distracting to have hard lines on these lavender rose. Now I can go back. Oh, I had to cut out a piece of the video because I was recording it in slow motion by mistake. But you can see that I went back in and fixed the shadows on my umbrella. So now I'm just cleaning up those chairs in the front. And I guess I could have just left these white, but I wanted to give them some color. In the photo, they're lavender or purple color, but I didn't want to do that because I thought it would kind of get lost with that lavender field. So I decided to use manganese blue, which is that light blue, and just a really watery application of it. Not much paint at all, but just enough to get some color on those chairs. Again, I wet the chairs first and then added the color. And that's really all you need to do to the chairs. And now I want to add a little more detail to the lavender field or the lavender rows that are close to us. So right behind that chair on the left, I'm using my liner brush to just indicate what lavender bushes look like close up. They're kind of sticky looking and they go in every direction. So I'm just using that lavender color to flick some things in there that look like little lavender bushes. It only takes a minute to do that. That's another thing to practice on another piece of paper before you try it on your painting. When I taught oil painting, I used to tell my students, try it on a piece of newspaper, paint about 1,000 of them, and you'll get really good at it. And I used a little bit of water on the bottom of those bushes there. That's just to soften it so there's no hard line at the bottom. Just going back in, adding a little bit more. It just adds some interest. And there we have it. That was pretty quick, but there we have a nice little painting that would work well for a greeting card or just a little framed painting. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it.